Thanks, Toa Nuva, for being here. As you know, I'm Eljay, and I'm going to be directing the new movie detailing your conflict against the Makuta and Kartanui. Obviously, we couldn't cast you guys in the film, but we got the next best thing. Presenting the Toa Mistika. They're sleek, they're hip, they're wow, they're now. The reason they're silver is because we ran out of gold. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Recap Review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Toa Mistika. From left to right we have set number 8688, Toa Galley, 8689, Toa Tahu, and 8690, Toa Nuva. Galley has 60 pieces, Tahu has 73, and Nuva has 62. They were all released in the summer of 2008, and at time of release were approximately $13. Alright, so some of you may notice that there's a little bit of dust on these guys, and that's because I do have them on display and things get a little bit dusty. However, I did my best to clean them off. So if you do notice any dust or smudge, well, keep in mind these were released in 2008. It was a long time ago, guys. So, I apologize in advance, but we'll still review them anyhow. Let me first get out of the way my disclaimer. Just because a pro or a con is on this list in this video does not necessarily mean it is my personal opinion. If I let you know explicitly that it is, then you'll know that it is. Otherwise, I'm doing my best to keep these reviews as objective as possible, and all opinions and or facts about them are from the community, or can be represented here and reenacted on screen. So unless I tell you otherwise, please assume that these are not my personal opinions. With that out of the way, let's get on to the review. Obviously enough, these are the other three Toa from the Toa Nuva team that we did not review when we went over the Fantoka. There we go, I'm already mixing them up. So we have Galley, Tahu, and Nuva, and they're kind of, oh boy, controversial to say the absolute least. First, I'll go over everything that is shared amongst them. First of all, they're all modifications of the Paraka and Anika build, most often being the Paraka build, except for in the case of Nuva, who is an Anika variant. They all have the standard points of articulation, 3 in the arms, 3 in the legs, and 1 in the head. And they all have a bunch of new recolors. Obviously enough, the recolors are actually quite plentiful and mostly in silver. First, we'll go over the new pieces. For Nuva, we do have quite a few. We've got his mask, the Pakari. We do have this new kind of shield shovel piece that we see in other sets. We have this new blaster piece, along with the Ninra? It's Ninra. The Ninra Ghost Blaster. And we have these new fin pieces in Mata Red. For Tahu, it's the new How, the new Mask of Shielding. We also have these jet pieces that Nuva has as well, only in silver. Nuva has them in Mata Red as well. The fin pieces are in Metru Red. And we also have this new claw piece on the back of Tahu's legs in silver. Additionally, the Ninra Ghost Blaster and these 3 bladed pieces that spin, and we'll get to that in a moment. So that's Tahu. And for Galley, we also have her mask, the new Cow, Ninra Ghost Blaster. We have this little sight apparatus right up here, the blasters on her feet, the fins on her mask, and this new armor piece, which is very spiky and circular. As far as recolors are concerned, all of their limbs, practically. The Paraka legs, the other Paraka legs, the Anika legs, the Paraka legs, and the Viziraksha legs. All new in silver, and the torsos, no, they were in silver before. That's really it. Those are all in silver, and then we have recolors of pieces that we hadn't gotten before. Oh, I believe this torso is new. That's new piece. That's in black. We do have it in some other colors as well. So that's all that's new from these guys. The builds, nothing out of the ordinary. They're standard Anika and Paraka builds with some modification. So you're not going to get any revolutionary new builds here. Like I said, all the articulation is generally the same. The stability, it's alright. And yeah, that's really them. We'll get into the nitty-gritty in a moment. Let's go ahead, since these are lineage sets, let's go ahead and compare them to the last form we saw them in, going left to right, starting with Galley. This is Galley, released in 2008, and this is her prior form, Galley Nuva, released in 2002. Major difference. Not only is she taller, but she is now one of the token hunchbacks as opposed to Onua. Galley is the most controversial of these sets, bar none. Obviously, the Mistika were not well received upon release because they didn't look like their prior incarnations, but Galley got it the worst. She lost the kind of light blue, and she lost the matte blue, and it pretty much got replaced with silver and Metro blue. Although the silver is the primary color here, the Metro blue is the accent. She does not look anything like her prior form. The weapon is different, the shape is different, the mask is different. The mask, oh my goodness, the mask got the most criticism. It's one of the most hated masks because of how it looks. Not only do we have these weird fin things that, do they really do anything? There's no story explanation for them. But we also have a telescope. We have a telescope. The mask doesn't look anything like the original Cow. It's much larger. It's far more angular. There is no similarity at all. It looks more fitting for Kopaka, not Galley. So on its own, the set, standard Paraka build, standard Nika build, all the same general functions. However, as a lineage set, oh my gosh, they did not do a good job re-representing this character at all. That generally sums it up. Let's go ahead and pop on over to Tahu. This is Tahu, released in 2008, and this is Tahu, released in 2002. Now, Tahu, again, there is very little to no similarity here. The matte red and the orange are completely gone, replaced with a primary of silver and a secondary of Metro red. The weapons are also not the same. He's got a blaster and this tri-rotating fire blade thing, which that is a function and it works decently well. I said decently. So Tahu's also a lot taller, obviously enough, just kind of a byproduct of the build. He's got these thrusters and they move, and they all move. So you can have them out like that. You can have them up, what have you. His arms are a lot longer, his proportions are nowhere near as good as they were in his Nuva form, and his mask also does not share a whole lot of similarity. The general feel of it, you might be able to argue that it's still there. He's got kind of a large, wide open gap, I guess. Maybe the shape is the same, kind of forming like pyramid-esque, but it's really nothing alike. Tahu now has this huge spike jutting out of his mask. He's got these two folds. It does not really look like the more streamlined and more almost roundish and organic looking How Nuva. It's much more angular. So Tahu does not have a lot of similarities to his prior form. That generally sums it up. The same amount of articulation. Pretty much everything's the same. Let's keep going. Let's move on to Onua. This is Onua, released in 2008. And this is Onua, released in 2002. The difference here is also incredibly great. However, out of all the Toa that have changed, Onua arguably has changed the least, because at least his color scheme is similar to what it was prior. The black is the exact same, so he does keep that coming over from his Nuva form. Instead of dark gray, which he does actually have, his torso is dark gray, he has a primarily black and silver color scheme, and granted, Onua Nuva does have silver on him. The major change is his height difference. He's no longer a hunchback, even though he could have been. He's also a lot spindlier, much slimmer arms, and a taller, more lean appearance, as well as the addition of the red. Now, red in this case is meant to be an accent, and red does make sense on a toe of earth. Molten lava, of course, and in the story, Onua does have experience with molten lava. So in the set, it is actually used as an accent piece. Another difference would be the weapon change. Obviously, he has a blaster with this kind of add-on piece, which really serves no real purpose. And he also has a huge shield, which in the story can either be used as a shield or a shovel. So there is that. The mask actually does look quite similar. It's large, it's wide, and it has kind of that whole spiky appearance going to it. So it actually does look quite similar. Onua, while not many people may like him, is arguably the closest iteration of any of the Mistika that we've seen. Other than that, same basic pros and cons. So we're going to go ahead and move on back to the group because we have a few more things to talk about. So obviously enough, reception is not that great to these guys. They don't look anything like the prior forms, but as sets, they're generally fine. They have the standard points of articulation. They have a lot of really great, useful recolors and new pieces to boot. Some other general cons would be the general... I'm saying general a lot. The overall lack of an innovative build. It's rather standard. You're not going to find anything new or unique here. There are some neat little tricks, similar to, kind of like Onua's back leg thrusters. That's kind of neat. How about other than that, there's nothing all that extraordinary. Some other pros and cons, the red and blue pins, red axles and blue pins, are noticeable. Tahu has an awful amount of blue pins kind of just sticking out, and some people may not like that at all. Galley, it's more passable with the blue pins on her, however she does have these red axles on her hands. Granted, one may argue it's offset by the inclusion of this red laser sight. And Onua, the blue pins are really the only issue here, as they do kind of stick out a little bit, but there aren't many, and the red axles get away with it because red is officially an accent color on him, so it's not a big deal. As far as functionalities go, they do not have a lot of functions, aside from the Ninja Ghost Blasters. Now, with every set, with the Mistika, you do get two ammunitions, I guess. And they kind of look like they're improved Kordak blaster rounds. And they work, instead of a spring, off of air. As you can see here, this is a buildable piece. It takes approximately 4 pieces, not counting the ammunition, to construct. What you do, you get it all loaded up. These 3 fingers, and it will work. You just push in, the air will push it out. And these come in gunmetal for the Mistika. It actually works really well, and you can use them in water, and some may argue it works better in the water. Now, the Toa were also advertised as having the connections with Matoran, and as you can see on their backs, they somehow all ingeniously have it to where they can connect with Matoran. And they are advertised, actually, with connecting with certain of Matoran. Onua connects with Photok, or at least he dreams of it. So you can get him on Onua's back, and it works arguably better than Pohatu. So he is there. You do have that. Galley, she's advertised with Solik. I'm sorry, not Solik. With Tanma. So, back heavy. And Galley actually has the poorest stability out of these sets. That's really bad. And Tahu, obviously, there's only one more left. He's with Solik. So, that's generally how that looks. There's no story basis for this at all. They never do this at all. So, but that is just generally how that is pulled off. All in all, these sets are not well received. If you're a collectionist, you're going to want to pick these up anyway. However, if you're looking for a unique build, or a really striking dynamic team, or some really great color schemes, you will not find that here. If you also want a really good continuation to the original Toa Nuva and Toa Mata, you are also not going to find that here. You will find better representations of those forms in 2015 and 2016, not in 08. These sets are not extraordinary. They're not even really all that great. They're okay. Like, you are getting the recolors, you are getting the new blasters, and you are getting the new masks, but those are controversial in all of their own rights. But what do you guys think? Do you like the Mistika? That's an unpopular opinion, by the way. Or are you really, really meh about them? Please let me know what you think in the comments below or on the TTV message boards at board.ttvpodcast.com. Thank you all very much for watching, and join me next week when I go over their arch nemesis, the Makuta Mistika. Thanks for watching, and farewell.